Aloha, shamans and wise ones, and welcome to our little corner of the galaxy here in this dimensional space called EarthStar Spiritual Center in Greensboro, North Carolina. Today is Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. Our topic is simply Shaman, Taoism, Wu-Wei, or the flow state, and this is part 3. I'm your host today, Dale Stacy. I'm the Co-Abbot of EarthStar Spiritual Center here in Greensboro, and our special, beautiful guest today is Miss Heidi Fire Owl. She is an intuitive person. She is a healer, energy worker, massage therapist, frontier woman, homesteader. My goodness, she just has a plethora of skills that she loves to do. She's also a shamanic life coach, intuitive life coach, and so I've got her contact information in the show notes should you wish to contact her a little bit later on. Heidi, anything else I missed with that?
No, I think you got it pretty good.
Oh, outstanding. Good. All right. So today then we want to go through Wu-Wei. So we have some slides to go through to help us make our way through that. Now this will be a take 2 for all of y'all. Now, I went halfway through this interview with Heidi. Oh, it was great. I'm glad I took notes, all the wonderful things she said, and I got to hit the record button. So if you hear me say, well, now last time, this is what you said. So I'm going to remind Heidi of all the wisdom she gave me without recording. So, unless those were secret teachings or something, maybe they weren't meant for the common man. Good.
That's so funny.
So today is October 9th, and a beautiful day here in North Carolina. So Taoism Wu-Wei with Heidi Fire Owl, and this is part 3. If you'd like to see part 1 and 2 with Margot and Tiare, just go to our EarthStar Spiritual Center channel on YouTube and make sure you click the live tab, and you'll find those 2 that we did last week. And we're also going to have another presentation tomorrow with Amanda. And hopefully we'll be able to connect with Evangeline on the Monday's broadcast. Okay. All right, let's go to moving on. So we are EarthStar Spiritual Center. We are a multi-faith church living in Aloha. Been doing this since 2002. Do this with Jeannie, my beautiful wife. And our core principles are Aloha, or all loving God, love, oneness, heart path, and as above, so below. This is our YouTube channel, EarthStar Spiritual Center. You can find meditations there, and also click the live tab and you'll see all the videos that we've done. You can watch the replays on various topics, shamanic topics, and also healing. And these are the books we've written. So the 4 latest books from 2020, those are all shamanic books. And also the first one in 2012 was that's a fiction book, more of a science fiction, or a private eye, and patterned after my daughters, and they're energy healers and Reiki masters and martial artists and all that. Okay. But those will be available in the show notes or on Amazon. You can just type in Dale Stacy on Amazon. They should pop up. And then you see to the far right upper corner, you see EarthStar Publishing. So that's one of our ministries. And if you're an aspiring author and you would like to get your work published, then go on our website, click the link in the show notes. It will take you to the information, and contact us, and we can get the ball rolling for that. Now, Taoism. So Tao means then T-A-O, means the way. When we pronounce Tao, we don't say Tao, it's Taoism. Think about the way you say the word butter, right? Even though there's 2 T's, and if you spell out butter, but you say it like a D, like David, right? So Taoism then, or the way, or the path. Now, one of my favorite quotes out of the Tao Te Ching is, empty yourself of everything. Let your mind rest at peace. Returning to the source is stillness, which is the way of nature. So Tao Te Ching, book 16. So definitely give us a look at the flow. Okay. All right, now let's go over some definitions so we know we're on the same sheet of music here. So Taoism, we know what that is now, the way. And then Wu-Wei, or the flow state. So Wu-Wei, then, a Chinese word. The literal translation would be no action or not to act. Perhaps even you could say an emptiness, nothingness. Effortless action, aligning with nature, being in the now, living in the now, being present, and releasing attachment. Now, I know emptiness does not mean the same thing to us in the Western side, so we'll have a Western perspective on that word. Okay? Now, Bruce Lee, Our martial artists from the 60s and 70s often talked about the art of fighting without fighting. So this is the flow state. Command presence is another way to understand it. Think about when a parent or an authority figure or friend, family member, they just show up. They're very calming. They're very helpful. They're supportive, very loving. So it's not that they're doing anything actively. They're just being in the flow. So that's what the command presence provides. Or just think about when a police officer or a military person, a unit would show up. You would feel a sense of relief and peace. So same thing. And also, so doing nothing is doing something. And I've got in parentheses there, indecision. Just like when you decide not to make a decision, that is a decision. You've decided not to decide. So Wu Wei from the Oriental perspective. 2 little slides to share with you. To understand nothing takes time. And the one to the right. When your energy vibrates at a frequency that is within direct alignment to what the universe has been attempting to deliver your entire life, you begin to live in the flow, and true miracles start to happen. Yes, indeed, they do when we are in the flow. All right, now Western perspective. Remember when we talked about emptiness with the Oriental perspective, so think of that translated for us in the West as being openness. So that means letting go of ego, letting go of control, intellect, emotions, or anything that hinders having an open mind. It speaks about aligning or allowing the natural course of events. Example would be, would you rake leaves on a windy day? Would you swim against the current? Are you trying to work, but you actually need rest? Rest would be the best thing, because you find that your work is not very efficient and effective anyway because you need rest. Or simple, spontaneous course of action with no attachments. So you see there with control, we want to make sure we let go of control. We don't want to micromanage everything in our life. You're not allowing for the universal flow to provide you with something even greater. Bruce Lee, empty your cup so that it may be filled. So think about a teacup. What if your teacup is full and you have someone else coming up to metaphorically pour their tea into your cup, but you find out you have no room for their tea? Just like when you have no room for other people's opinions, other people's intellect, other people's emotions or support or love. If your cup is full, you're not going to have room to interact with anyone else. So suspend the ego and allow yourself to be in the flow of the moment. All right, another Western perspective, striving less to generate more. And that means not having stress in your life. You know how it is when you're trying to do something, but you're not in the mood exactly to do it. And what happens if you just wait to a later time when you are in the mood, you'll find that you complete that task more efficiently, more effectively, and about half the time, and it's more enjoyable because you are in the flow. Able to receive something much better than planned if we will just get out of our own way. In other words, allow our ego to be suspended, to allow us to receive. What are some examples of this? Overthinking, fear, indecision, emotions, lack of confidence, and empowerment. These can all hinder our flow state, because when we are aligned, we enter this beautiful arena of coincidences and serendipities. And I urge you to be calm so that when these moments arrive, you will be able to realize that. We don't want to be stressed out so much that we fail to see the beautiful coincidences and the serendipities that are being provided for us because you created it. Okay? Another one of my favorite quotes about flowing, and this comes from Return to the Lonesome Dove. You got to keep flowing where the force of nature takes you. Yes, Texas Ranger Gideon Walker, quoting Captain Gus McCrae of the Texas Rangers. And this was Return to Lonesome Dove, Season 1, Episode 1. Okay. All right, so anything, Heidi, you'd like to add to any of that, in those definitions, perspectives, either way?
No, I think those are pretty good.
Outstanding.
Pretty explanatory for everyone to understand basic terms.
Yes, thank you. Good. You know, it's wonderful being in shamanic flow. It's almost like we've had this conversation before recently, isn't it?
I'm telling you, I feel like we have.
I know. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. All right. Well, let's do question 1 again. To get this wisdom you had. How do you define the flow state in your life and reality?
So really, it's just how I define the flow state in my life and my reality is really just being calm in certain situations when there's chaos happening around me, or things that I feel like I am not in alignment with, and that I don't, I have a hard time accepting some things. So really being in the flow state for me is just being calm during those times, and just sort of going with things to see where they're going to go, and not resisting and fighting those things.
Yes, exactly. Wow, you must really live that, because that's exactly what you said in the first take. So great job.
Yeah, I do. I've practiced and practiced and practiced. I've had a lot of experience with, lessons in this. So yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Yeah, so, definitely having a sense of calm and sense of awareness. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Finding the flow state. Okay. All right, great. Let's go to question number 2 again. Number 2. How do you create or stay in the flow state in mind, body, and spirit?
So, I say this, and I've said this before. We don't actually create a flow state, because we are in a constant state of flow. The universe is in a constant state of flow. Our body is in a constant state of flow. Everything around us is in a constant state of flow. Nothing stops. So understanding that we don't actually create the flow state, but we create the space that brings us back into the flow state, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So how I bring myself back to it, I feel like it's almost in these, especially the times that we're in, it's almost impossible for us to actually stay in a flow state, because there's just so much happening all around us, and we're constantly having to navigate all of that. So creating it in mind, body, and spirit, the biggest way that I do that is exactly what I'm doing right now. I sit outside. I go to nature, and just getting outside to, take your shoes off, just sit outside, just getting outside, even if it's just for 5 minutes, to breathe and to just feel everything around you. Listen to the birds, they're in a flow state. Watch the ants on the ground. They are definitely in a flow state. So the things that I do to create that, or to bring myself back into the flow state, is the number one thing I do is I get outside.
That's great. And you said that last time too. You said even for a few minutes, if that's all you have to do that.
That's all you have to. I mean, literally, if you're in the middle of something and you're just frustrated, or you just feel like you can't figure something out, or you're doing something and it's not working, there's a level of resistance there. So if you just put it down and you step away and literally just step outside for a minute, just close your eyes, take a big deep breath, look up, because you have no idea the power of looking up. And even just like I said, for 1 second, and then go back to what you're doing, I promise you it will literally it will bring you back, and it will create some open space in that path of resistance that you're creating.
Yes. And a lot of folks just don't realize they're resisting, I guess.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Yes. Well, that's great. Now, you mentioned last time too, you said something about writing, and you doing the flow writing. Can you speak about that some?
So another way is I write, and I don't have any attachments to what I'm writing, and I don't have any. I have no attachments to grammar or no thoughts of if somebody's going to be reading this or any of that. I literally just grab a pen and pencil and I just write, and that actually will open up whatever it is of the chatter that you have in your head, because a lot of times when we're when we find that we're blocking flow, it's because we're in our head, we have all this chatter up here. And so once we do that, once I write and I just flow write, I just write whatever it is. Sometimes I just write words. And I find that that actually clears out my head, and then I can get back into my heart space, which is where flow begins.
Yes.
So I just write, just grab a pen and paper and just write, and don't worry about whatever it is that you're writing. Don't worry about complete sentences. Just, even if it's just words, sometimes I just literally write like fuck on a page in big bold letters. And I tell you, sometimes that's enough. So writing.
Excellent. And now, would that also include doing some kind of doodling or artwork too? Same kind of principle?
Anything. It just helps to release whatever it is in your mind. It's almost like you're just, like when a lot of people feel better after they talk to somebody and they say, I feel so much better because I just got that out. And that's what you need to do. You need to have that release.
That's excellent. That often that kind of reminds me of when I talk to people about meditating and tell them, notice that when your mind is still, where do you wander? Where does your mind wander once you reach a point of stillness? So your creative flowing writing like that kind of reminds me of that. Yeah, what kind of words come out when you're writing? So it's almost the same thing,
Yeah.
Where does your mind go? Where's your energy field go?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay. All right. Another thing you'd mentioned earlier, and take one was moving your body, and you talked about doing a qigong, strolling, standing in place, and just simply just moving. Anything you want to highlight with that?
Yeah. So if we understand our body and how we're made in the physical aspect, we know that the body's a flow system. So we are made to move. We are made to physically move. And there's actually a website or a guy that gives a lot of good information called the Human Longevity Movement. And he talks about, the human body moving, but we are designed to move. So for me, if I know that I am, blocking the flow in any way, if I'm having a hard time doing something, I can't figure something out, or I just feel stuck, because being stuck is being resistant. I literally will just move my body. So any type of qigong, and also for those of you that that are just like, this is just too much for me. My whole thing, I am all about simple. I am about basic. I am about just, keeping everything as simple as you can possibly keep it, because that's what that is that's how we are. That this earth, it's super, super simple. We just overcomplicate everything. So literally movement, and all you have to do is just, even if you're just doing this, or you're just swaying back and forth, or sometimes you see people rocking or whatever, that literally will help to re-regulate your nervous system, and it will help you. It helps your lymphatic system, it helps all that, which is your whole flow system. So I literally, sometimes I just stand out in the yard. I'll do figure eights, like with my arms or whatever. If I don't have time, if I feel like I don't have time, or I don't make the time to to do this, to do a whole qigong series or whatever. Or just take a little tiny stroll. Like, you don't even have to walk. You don't have to get on your treadmill and run forever. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Literally, just move your body. Even if you just are swinging your arms, skipping. Like, when is last time you skipped?
Yes.
You know? I mean, it is just it will change your entire feeling. So those are things that I do all the time. I know my neighbors probably think I'm nuts if they drive by and see me in my yard sometimes, but those are the ways that I bring myself back into a flow state. Movement is huge.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, nice, simple things to try and do. Also, you mentioned before about working with crystals, just sit and meditate, drumming,
Yep.
ceremonies, prayer, uh, going out in nature, just finding natural tools, sticks to use, and also having a fire pit.
Yep. So on a spiritual level, it's important to have some sort of spiritual rituals or ceremony that you do. And, don't get stuck on those words and overcomplicate it. A ritual for me is my routine in the morning, getting up, taking care of my animals, and getting my drink, whatever it is. Generally, I'll have water and then I have coffee. I take that outside and I sit and I let the sun hit me or whatever, even if it's overcast, cloudy, snowy, it does not matter. I literally will sit outside barefoot for that time. And that to me is a ritual and a ceremony. I do tobacco ceremonies at the fire. The writings that I do, I will take those and I will start a little fire. And you don't have to have like a great big huge fire again. You can just take a lighter and, some tobacco, burn it. Send those words and your prayers, out there and up. And that's a release. So, and drumming, that vibration, like I said, you don't have to make it anything. If you don't have instruments, ask nature, can I borrow these two sticks? And literally just beat two sticks together. Sometimes when I'm walking, I do that and just stand there and beat these two sticks together. And that rhythm and that vibration just really helps to reset you with the flow and the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And that is our natural state. So just little things like that will help bring you back into the natural state of flow. And I do those
Oh, that's
things.
yes, you're actually living this just about every day. That's
Yeah.
great. Oh, thank you, Heidi. That was a wonderful list for people to use and to try out. So hopefully they'll go back and do the replay, hit rewind, and write down all those things and try each one of them. So thank you for that, Heidi. All right, let's go to number 3 then. Okay, so how much time do you devote to your flow state daily? Now, Heidi, you said last time before I had to redo, you said at least 30 minutes a day every morning. But sometimes things come up and you can do 5 minutes, but you try to do 30, but do at least 5. Okay, now take it from there.
So just, for me personally, I do have my routine. Like I said, it's my ritual that I do every morning. And generally, it's non-negotiable for me. So I definitely take at least 5 to 15 minutes. The My ideal time to set me right for the day is 30. But sometimes I don't have that. So sometimes I just have 5 minutes. But it is a non-negotiable that every single morning I am going to take my cup of coffee after I'm done, getting my animals settled and doing what I need to do for them. I take that outside and I connect with nature first thing in the morning. So that's a non-negotiable. Another thing is at night, I take at least 5 minutes to do prayer. And, that is I ask for forgiveness sometimes for myself. Sometimes I just pray for other people, or sometimes I just say thank you. And that can take a minute to 15 minutes, depending on, what my prayers are. Um, Another thing is also, too, during the day, um, if I have time or if I am feeling in a stuck state, I will make the time to just stop whatever it is I'm doing and I just find the time to either beat on my drum or come outside for a minute, take a breath, look up, say thank you, just take a big deep breath, and then I go back to whatever I'm doing. So definitely 30 minutes. Um, that's my goal to try to do. But again, however much time you set aside for that, even if it's a minute, I promise you it's going to make a big difference.
Yes, that's great. Wonderful. It looks like we're about 25 minutes in. Just give you a heads up with that. All right, number 4 then. Now this is fresh. Okay. So any ceremonies, which you've already alluded to some with your drumming and crystals, but any ceremonies, mantras, or rituals that you do to enhance your flow state.
Yes. So I'm an avid crystal collector. And I'm a stone person, so I connect with the stone people. And so crystals, I use a lot of crystals in ceremonies. I use sage for clearing, and different herbs, different types of herbs, not just sage, but you can use anything. You can use rosemary. If you have a cedar tree, you can get some cedar and use that. Um, I do fire ceremonies. I do tobacco ceremonies. I do drumming. I do, so most of the ceremonies and rituals I do are connected to shamanism in the Native American sense. And a lot of prayer. People just don't realize how much power prayer has. And when you put your prayers out there, your words out there, every letter has a vibration, a frequency. So when you're speaking those words and that frequency out there, the universe, it's all being received and everything is being manifested, whether it shows up right away for you or not. So I use, words. I use any words. Um, and I just, again, most of it is based on Native American ceremonial things. Clearing ways I learned at Cherokee Full Circle. I love doing clearing ways. I find that is extremely helpful. And I'll do that with the writing and the fire a lot of times.
Yeah. Ooh, that'd be nice. Writing and fire ceremony. Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Now, any particular mantras that you would use for any of that? Any particular sayings that come to mind that you use, like Cherokee or the Lakota or anything like that?
You know what? I really don't. I don't get stuck on that. The only thing is that I just tell people to just be mindful of your negative or stinking thinking or whatever you want to call it. Like, just be mindful of that when you're doing mantras or whatever. I'm not one to do mantras. That's just not something that I do. I do prayers, and I will sing songs, even though I can't sing very well. I'll sing songs. But I really don't, I studied at a Buddhist monastery for 3 years and we chanted every day in Pali, and, we meditated for 9 hours a day and we chanted and chanted and chanted. And it was extremely helpful. And I have, mantras are awesome. It's just not something that I find myself doing for, my own flow state. For me, maybe I do and I don't even know that I'm doing it, but I don't have any set mantras that I follow or do.
Yes.
Mostly I write. I'm more physical and yeah.
Yeah, stand in the flow state while you're in the flow state. Yeah, that's
Yes. Yeah.
That makes total sense. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. All right, number 5. Any examples of being in the flow state, especially in reference to how it helps you to manifest your reality? Any manifestations, any creations, anything in the flow state for you with that? Because you're a great manifester. Yeah.
Well, I definitely have learned that I am a great manifester. I didn't always think that. I felt like, I just felt like a lot of times, like, oh, this is a disaster. I had the opposite thinking of it, not realizing that I actually manifested this crap, and it's not really crap because
Right.
this is what you manifested, and it's actually a beautiful thing. So, you know, the so an example of being in the flow state, I'll just give my own personal example. I'm trying to avoid the sun here. Is I lost my wallet and my phone in last year in December, and someone stole it. So when I lost it, they took it, and they took everything, and they took over my all of my accounts and my Facebook, and I never got anything back. But at the time, before that happened, I actually had made an announcement that I was getting ready to revamp my Facebook and all of my social media, because I just found that it was getting junked up, and I felt like there was a lot of negativity, like, just coming in, and some different things that I just wasn't happy about. Not my people, but just the social media platforms in general. I sort of felt, because I am extremely intuitive, so I did feel all of this censoring and all of that stuff coming before it actually came on like it has. So I really was in the process of, I had in my mind, I really want to change things, but I don't know how. And then I lost my wallet, and then all my stuff got stolen. And so, in the beginning, I was just so stuck in this place of, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. What am I going to do? Like, it was this whole big thing. And it's just really turned out to be this beautiful um, release, actually, from from all of that. And it has been like a big stress relief off of me, to not have to figure any of that out. And also, just for me personally, being a sensitive and intuitive and empath, not having to see all of that stuff every day, and to not have to be in that. I just pick and choose. Usually I'm on YouTube, and that's it. So just manifesting that, and then getting out of the fear state, and having my nervous system locked down, because that's what happens. Our nervous system gets locked down, and really, coming out of that, and realizing that I actually manifested all of that. So I need to just go with this.
Yes.
And so that was just a really big one, for me. And another one for everyone else is to really um understand that the body is a flow system. So when you are resisting things, you are actually creating disease in the body, on a physical aspect. And at the end of this video, if you want me to talk about that a little, I can explain that a little bit more. But so, I mean, really, that's what I have for an example of manifesting. And
That sounds like a great hour-long video we'll have to do for that. Oh, that's wonderful. All right, thank you, Heidi. All right, number 6. Okay, we're gonna have 7 questions total. Okay, so how does your flow state align with you living aloha in every moment?
so I think my flow state aligns with me living aloha, because that is uh I'm getting the light here. The aloha, I mean, our flow state is love, right? So, and it's the opposite of resistance. So I think that my flow state aligns with that, when I'm in a heart-centered place, and when I'm not so much in my head about things.
Yes.
When I'm not stuck in fear.
Yes, exactly. Yes, definitely being in the heart. And it's almost like the chicken and the egg thing, isn't it? What happened first, the flow state, or was it the living aloha, or vice versa? So yeah, that's wonderful. I like that about being, yes, heart centered. That definitely takes care of both, doesn't it? Yeah, okay, outstanding. Okay. All right, and then number 7, we come to the end of that. So some review and some tips as we come to this. So if we haven't covered it already, how do you integrate a flow state with mind, body, and spirit in your reality? So any other things that you'd like to mention about that mind, body, spirit, and how we can do that flow state? Any last tips you can share with people?
So the biggest thing I want people to understand is that, again, we live in a flow state. It's constant. Like, it is absolutely constant. Our body in the physical aspect is also a flow state. So, you know, our the when the body when we have when we so a block in the flow system is created through shock and trauma. So, if you understand that, then you'll understand the 6 phases of disease that the body goes through. So, when we block flow in any way, so when we have a shock, if we are not able to express it, becomes imprinted in the body, and that that's a whole nother that's a whole nother video. But
Yes.
But just to have the understanding that, the body is a flow system. So when we are blocking flow in any way, and how the flow system and how the flow in everything gets blocked is through shock and trauma. And if you pay attention to what's happening right now, and if you look at, the flooding and all of that that's happened, those people are in shock. Okay, some of us are in shock just, from seeing things and feeling things. So what happens is that creates a block. So when you notice and you see these people that this has happened to and they're in shock, they literally are just like, they're literally just held, like, stuck, and they're not doing anything. So a lot of people that have said, when they're going to these homes to rescue these people, they won't even come out, because literally they have experienced this shock to where their system has just shut down completely, and they are stuck. They're just stuck. They're stuck in fear. So I have notes, but I know you can't see them, but there's a whole, system that we go through. The body's a flow system, and disease blocks. It's a disruption in the flow system.
Let me make that larger so people can see. There you go.
So, disease is it's a block in the flow system, and enzymes are the active agents that we have in our body, that can reactivate flow. And now I'm talking about this on a physical level. So hormones and the nervous system are the boss of these enzymes. So anytime we experience a shock, our nervous system shuts down, right? And our enzymes are not active. We cannot, our hormones are all off balance. And then our enzymes are not active. So the body is no longer in this state of flow. So what happens is the organs, so it shows up as symptoms. We start getting symptoms. And the enzymes and the hormones and the nervous system, or the communication system, which is our nervous system, that those have got to be put back so that we can have a clear signal. Because if we don't have a clear signal in the body, we have blockages in flows to our organs. So this is how people get sick. I mean, seriously. So if we're not in flow, in this state of flow, and this, you know, this is a really important topic. So I'm glad that you're doing this whole series because, and especially right now, it's super important, you know, for people to understand that how important it is to be in, you know, to bring yourself back to flow. And so when our nervous system gets dysregulated through shock, our hormones are off balance, and we cannot communicate to the enzymes in the body to do the functions that it needs to do. And so we become toxic. And in that toxic state, what happens is there's a 6-phase process of dis-ease. Okay. So we experience the shock, and then on the extracellular matrix, there's 3 processes that happen, which is in the lymph. So this is why movement is so important, because without movement, our lymph doesn't drain, right? You know, you see these people walking around, they got these big puffy ankles and all that stuff. That is because your lymphatic system is backed up, right? So what happens after shock is we experience an excretion phase, okay? And that means our pathways are blocked. Right now, I'm dealing with sinus and mucus, and that's an indication that my pathways are blocked. And I'll tell you, part of it is from, you know, talking to friends who have experienced this shock from these floods that really, you know, as an empath, it affects me.
Yes.
So I am really, that's part of the reason why I'm spending most of my time outside. You know, I need to clear and clear, because I am feeling this shock from around the world, basically.
And Heidi, I think, yeah, we've got to do. I know we did a show on this probably a while back, but yeah, it may be a good time that we'll just just have a show specifically on those 6 things. That'd be great, and that way we
Sure.
have a flow chart for actual flow chart for people, and they can take notes on that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up. Good. All righty. Well, get back to our slides then. Well, it looks like that was a wonderful job, Heidi. So let's go over some review then for everyone on what we covered today. So again, some of the Oriental and the Western definitions of Wu-Wei or the flow. Remember, Taoism or Tao is the way of the path. So in review, no action, which would be the Oriental definition, but the Western definition means we're open to everything. Suspend the ego, suspend your control, suspend your attachment to the outcomes, because, you know, most people don't realize how powerful they are when all of us create something. And if we try to control every single minutia, you know, if we're trying to be those, you know, micromanagers, you're going to limit some of the flow. You know, it'd be like when you're saying, well, I'd like to have this great income and I want it to be through the lottery. Well, that means the only chance that you're trying to create it is to come through the lottery. Well, if a friend comes up and offers you the same amount of money, but you'd be blocking that. So be careful about attaching to the outcomes. Okay? And we want to make sure we align with nature, or what is the natural order. Again, like raking leaves on a windy day, right? We want to be in the now, and we want to be patient. Now, I've got a link to a video. It's one of those after school videos, you know, where they do the drawing thing. It's amazing how they do it. And I've got a link to that. And I had some very poignant or salient points I wanted to bring to you about being in the flow. And that's the dancer becomes the dance, the poet becomes the poem, and the singer becomes the song. And that's definitely about being in the flow. Okay. Now, some other things I want to, let's do a review of what the things that Heidi said. I got a whole page here. So you can go back and do the rewind and stop it and take your notes. So a sense of, so being in the flow then, the Wu-Wei, the flow state. It's a sense of calmness and chaotic times, sense of awareness. So no fighting, watch out for the resistance. We are constantly in a flow state, okay? Constantly in a state of flow. The body is universe and life. Okay? Don't block it. Create the space to be in the flow state. Sit outside, be in nature. Let me blow this up so I can see your smiling face. Good. Even if it's just for a few minutes. Do some writing, the flow writing. So no set standards, just write. Okay? The power of looking up when you're outside. Our bodies are moving bodies. They're made to move. So do some qigong, take a stroll, spend, or just stand in place and just move different body parts. Using crystals, sitting and meditate, drumming, ceremonies, prayer, using natural tools if you don't have instruments, going out in nature, creating tools, pick up 2 sticks, all right? Have a fire pit, or get you a coffee can or something, make your own little fire pit right there on the deck outside. Watch out for the lack of flow, because that's a block. So we want to make sure we create some type of clearing. On your daily practice, you try to at least do at least 30 minutes a day every morning. And sometimes 3D life gets in the way, but you'll at least make 5 minutes a day to make things happen. Constantly using prayer. And if you're busy, you stop what you're doing sometimes, and you create time to be in the flow, to be of flow. Okay? You like playing with crystals and collecting crystals and stones. You use sage, rosemary, cedar, fire ceremonies, tobacco ceremonies, shamanic and native ceremonies. You like the power of prayer, and also you like to focus on the clearing ways and make sure that it gives that flow a nice clear pathway, right? You often combine your writing with fire ceremonies. That sounds wonderful. And being mindful of your thinking, yes. Another thing is the flow state. It provides a relief to help you to manifest things. So get out of the fear state and just go with it. Okay. The body is a flow system. When we resist, it creates disease. So, flow state is love, heart-centered place to be. And we live in a constant flow state. We talked about the 6 phases of disease, and I think we'll do another video on that later. So when what happens is when we block it or we're in shock, the flow in any way that we get stuck in fear, disease has an opportunity to become part of our reality, and we don't want that, because the nervous system shuts down, affects the enzymes, the hormones, and then we get symptoms arriving, and then we make our body toxic. So we don't want to do that. We want to be in that flow state. So wonderful, wonderful advice and wisdom and way of living. Aloha, Heidi. So thank you so very much for providing it. Thank you for taking this beautiful day. I know you got lots of things you love to do on the homestead there. So thank you for spending this time and sharing. So any final thoughts for everyone?
No, just really, everybody just understand that, we are in a constant state of flow, and that if you're not feeling right, understand that is a block in the flow, that you are creating that block.
Yes.
So you can uncreate that block by doing some of the things, again, just as simple as getting outside with your bare feet will literally help to open up that block. So, just look at, take the opportunity to look at your life and to look at things that aren't working for you, and ask yourself, what you're doing that's causing the block there. And sometimes you just need to let that go, or get out of the way, and let things happen. So just take a little inventory of your life.
Yes. So very simple wisdom and things to do. Really, they're not going to cost you very much, if nothing, to do in your life. So thank you for that. Yes, simplicity is definitely the flow state.
Yes, very much so.
All right, and for those that have joined us today, thanks for being here, our friends and family from all around the world, as we are all here to create Planet Aloha. So let's leave this today with a pow. So on 3, we'll clap our hands and shout pow. Remember, that's the Hawaiian word for it's all over. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Pa! Got a delay. Thank you so very much, Heidi. Much aloha. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. All right, here we go. Let me give you a nice little tune to take us out. And so I hope everyone has a great day. And remember, be aloha in every moment. Aloha.